It's always crazy to go live. This reminds me a lot of when I had to do comic conventions and I would be asked to do panels and how nerve-wracking that always was. All right, there's nobody in here, I don't think, right now, but maybe I'll start. Or maybe I should wait. If anybody shows up. I don't even know if this thing advertises to anybody that this is happening. Do people get emails? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, notification. Yeah, this is just going to be a short one. I'm going to go out and draw. It's actually a really beautiful day outside today. So I'm just going to do a short stream just to talk about a couple of questions that I got in the last stream that I did and answer some of that stuff and ask for some help with a few things here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? All right, now we're getting a few people in here. Good morning. Everybody, you can hear me and everything? Okay, so the first thing I wanted to answer was on the last stream, I dug through my drawers for everyone so you can see the stuff that I have. And one of the things that I showed was these perspective grids. And then I got a lot of questions about that, like where I got those. So I just Googled it again. They're called Koala tools. And they come in I think there's 4 different kinds of perspective in there. Different things you could use them for and stuff. And so I found a link and I posted it in the description of this video. If you're somebody who draws by hand, like myself, on paper, and you're not very good at perspective, like I'm not, these things are really helpful. So I just found a link. I think it's a Walmart link or something. So you can pick up your own packet of these. Okay, hold on a second. I'm still waking up. We left for a few days. We went to Charleston for a little vacation / celebration because I finished my Joseph Smith book. Well, I finished the first part of it. It still needs to be sent into the publisher for them to edit, and then I can change stuff and finish coloring it and stuff like that. But still, the fact that I started this story and then drew the ending of it, and so it's a complete story. We wanted to kind of celebrate that and take a little vacation. So we went to Charleston thinking oh, well, maybe it'll be warmer in Charleston than it is here in Columbia. So we can go to the beach and hang out and stuff. So we went down there and it was fucking cold, man. I went to the beach and I was just sitting there trying to enjoy myself. And I'm wrapped up in my coat, just kind of shivering and feeling the freezing ocean breeze on my face. And I remember my wife and I were let's take our shoes off and walk in the water along the shore. So we did that, and then my feet were blue. I was super cold, and I was trying to be cool about it though. I was this is great, thanks, I love it here. And then and then we went to Fort Sumter, saw that, and what else? Went to this art museum there and stuff. It was pretty cool, but it wasn't really relaxing. It wasn't a real vacation, so it wasn't that satisfying. But let's see. So another question that I had was about the complete Blammo book that Kilgore is going to do as a Kickstarter. And I turned in all the files for that to Dan to put together as a book. And so it's kind of out of my hands at this point. I just did as much as I possibly could, and I just sent him the stuff and just said, you have to finish everything else. So he's working on that, and I think the Kickstarter is going to go up in a few weeks because he's gathering work from other artists as well. So it's not just going to be Blammo. It's going to be, I think there's a new Mike Freiheit book, a new Alex Nall book. Lauren Barnett has a book of paintings that she's been doing during quarantine that are really awesome. And I just contributed the Blammo book, and I think we're doing a new reprint of My Hot Date, which is a mini comic I did that was pretty popular and is out of print now. So we're going to reprint it with this extra story that wasn't in the American version, but it was in the French edition that came out last year. So we're just going to reprint it like that. And Dylan. This is going to be a complete Blammo book, but it's just issues 1 through 5, like this here. But it's not going to be even hardcover. It's just going to be paperback. It's kind of like cheap and like it's pretty gritty book, and it's a little bit embarrassing. Like I feel like I should have like a warning on there that it's like for fans only, because I'm a little nervous about people picking it up as like something that they're not familiar with, because it's pretty amateurish, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's interesting to people who have followed my comics for a while and stuff and want to see where it all started. So, Josh, it is going to have all the covers and letter pages, but it's not going to be as prestigious as the complete 8-Ball or anything like that, or a Dirty Plot. It's just basically like a bootleg paperback collection. Like it's kind of like the content itself. It's just going to be really crappy and kind of dirty, you know. Dylan. The embarrassment is the selling point, but I'm like a little nervous about, because there's a lot of jokes in there that I don't know. They're pretty troubling, I think. So I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. Like there was like, I'm even stuff like, I remember I was reading through the work and there was a joke about Britney Spears, and I'm like, shit, man, like everybody's like, that was a thing back then, is that like you made fun of Britney Spears. Like it was just like an easy, dumb target. And I did that, and now it's kind of Britney Spears is like having like a big thing where like anybody who made fun of her is over. So now I'm like, dude, it's kind of embarrassing, but anyway, I don't know. I tried to like, I just tried to basically distance myself from. I wrote some notes in the back of the book, or just basically like, look, I was 22 years old when I drew this stuff, and 2007 was a lot different than 2021. So just please give me a break. Hopefully people will be forgiving about that. But anyway, I mean, I also, like me and Dan were saying, like anybody who buys that book is going to be somebody who's like compassionate and kind and forgiving. But anybody who buys it are already really going to be interested. They already know my work, so you know what you're getting yourself into. It's just a lot of crappy wannabe crumb comics. I mean, that's all. It's just, but whatever. Anyway. So just the other day, we had this guy who lives behind us in this like garage that's been converted into an apartment in the house next door. And he's like this guy who's like super in New York. And he seems like I actually have a feeling that he's like was asked to leave New York, like that. Like, what is this guy doing down here in South Carolina? I'm like, I wonder if like the police told him he better get out of town, or if some kind of the mafia told him to get out of town or something. He's really a character. And he came over the other day to the house, and he knocked on the door and he said, "Hey, you guys still married?" to my wife. And she's like, "Yep." She's like, "Hey, congratulations, I got you a present." And he gave her this bottle of wine, this big bottle of white wine. It's really cheap, he said. That's what I like about it. It's really cheap and it's really sweet. So he gives it to her, and we tried some of it last night. We were having dinner, and we're like, "Oh, let's try this wine." It's just like so sugary and like insane. It didn't even taste like wine. It tastes like sangria or something. So then I'm like, "Oh God, I can't drink this anymore." And then we went to bed. I go to bed pretty early. It's like 9:30. I'm like reading comics in bed, and I woke up at 2 a.m. just feeling like insane. And I couldn't sleep. I was like immediately up, like a sugar rush or something. And I was like, "Oh, it must be at least 5:30 or something." I looked at my phone, it's 2 a.m. And I went and sat on the couch and was just like not sleepy at all anymore. Like I think that I had to blame the wine about it. But I read Chester Brown's I Never Liked You while I was just sitting up in the middle of the night. And then just kind of felt bad and went back into bed and tried to sleep. It took me like another hour to go to sleep again. It sucked. So I had a shitty night's sleep, but I'm still gonna have to do my drawing. Let's see. In the chat, the Blammo book is not any worse than Crumb. I never did anything really perverted in my comics. I never did anything racist in my comics, so I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. But I was like I was like a freaked out dude who was like, living in Denver, Colorado. Denver was like a big city to me at the time, so I was like really scared. And so I just drew a lot of comics about being really afraid and paranoid and all this stuff. That's basically all the comics really are. Been rereading Eugene Debs and Johnny Appleseed, and pretty stunned by them. Oh, well, what is it about the grassroots or oppositional politics that are perfect for the graphic medium? I don't really know. You know, that was my partner, Paul Buell, came to me with those projects. So he really turned me on. Those books were an education for me, working on that stuff. I didn't know anything about that. Eugene Debs and stuff like that. Like, I just love American history. So I was really interested in taking those on, and I'm glad that I did those books because they were really educational to me. I don't know what it is about the medium, but it does have a long history in oppositional politics and stuff like that. So boring. Okay, here's what I wanted to really talk about. I just finished a new mini comic last year. Around this time of year, I did this comic called For Art's Sake, and I self-published it, and it was like kind of an experiment for me. Like, oh, let me see if I can get back into self-publishing, and then that'll be like another way. I don't have to like just draw something and then try and find a publisher. I can just do something specifically for me to publish. So I did For Art's Sake. I did 500 copies, and we sold almost all of them pretty quickly. So this year I did a new one. It's called Boring, and it's almost done. I'm about to send it to the printer. But my question for anybody out there is that, like, I want to start like an online store so that I can just sell them. I can have like a link to send people to the online store to sell copies. Because last year when I did For Art's Sake, I just put it up. I said, if you want a copy of this, just PayPal me $10 or whatever, and then I'll mail you a copy. And that was insane. That was such a bad idea. So I was hoping to start an online store that would have copies of Boring and any other copies of any mini comics I have that I want to sell, any of the other stuff, and I can just put it all up on this store. And I don't know how to do that. I was looking at like maybe Store Envy or something like that, but I don't want to do something where they take like most of the money from me. I want to try and keep as much as the income as I can from selling my comics. So if anybody has any ideas or any recommendations, I would really appreciate it. Because and I still have a few copies of For Art's Sake left. So I just wanted to put those on the online store as well. So like if anybody wants to get Boring, the new mini comic, and they haven't gotten For Art's Sake, they can pick that up as well. Dylan, Spit and a Half sells most of my comics, but I wanted to do something that was just that I'm doing myself. Like, I didn't want to use like somebody like a distributor or somebody else's online store. Like, I wanted to just take care of it myself and not have to, to go through anybody else. So that's the goal for this project here. Big Cartel. Okay. I have to write that down. Dylan, I do have, I might have like a couple copies of In the Thick of It, which was this comic I did about working on the Joseph Smith book. I might still have a few, but I would put those up. I mean, that's just like one of the things I would put up on the store. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to try and figure out how to do this because I'm going to send this comic off to the printer in just a couple of days or a few days, maybe. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? The Patreon, I have a link in this description as well. And if you guys have the means, I know I'm like kind of annoying about that stuff, but like it is really helpful. So, $1 a month, $5 a month or whatever, and you get to read comics that I post on there directly or any other videos and stuff like that I post on there. But mainly it just helps me pay my bills, and it's really difficult as a cartoonist and all that stuff. So there's a link there. I do appreciate any support you guys can give me. Hey Sam, how's it going, man? Squarespace. I do have a Square. I'm actually doing, this weekend there's like a little art thing, like an art fair in my neighborhood, and I'm just going to set a table up on my porch and sell comics directly from there. So I did get a Square reader for my phone so that I can do that. Let's see. Hey Noah, is there any truth to a Blamo hardcover collection? Yeah, we talked about that just a second ago. There is. It's not a hardcover; it's a paperback. And yeah, it's coming. I mean, Dan Stafford from Kilgore is supposed to do the Kickstarter in the spring, I think it's just about spring. So, so any minute now, I'm sure he's putting it all together right now. Let's see. BDR, what's the best era of Peanuts? You know what? I think the 60s are, but yeah, for me, the 60s and the 70s, early 70s are the best. I have the Fantagraphics collections, and those are the best. I always think, like, if I was, one of these days when I'm in the hospital, I'm gonna ask my wife, like, bring the Peanuts books here, and I'll be sitting there in the hospital bed reading Peanuts, because it's the most comforting fucking thing. I could imagine in such a dark time. Hey, is that Kevin? Thanks, man. I'll look at your message about the shop. I appreciate it. I really do. I don't even have a website. I have like a crappy blog that I don't even really use anymore. So I'm really behind on all this stuff. All right, let's just see. Is there anything else in the chat? Chat Noir, would you ever do a biographical comic again, or a comic centered around a historical event? I don't think so. Not anytime soon. Maybe in the future I will. But I just want to get back to writing fiction. I'm sick of doing big lapels and stuff like that. How is my daily routine? Well, you're going to find out in the new mini comic called Boring, because that's what it's all about. So I don't want to spoil it for you. Hey, Noah, new Blue Skies issue coming to you pretty soon. Thanks a lot, Lance. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. So what else do I have to talk about? Nothing, really. I'm looking at my little list here. So anyway, for anybody who didn't hear me in the very beginning of this channel, yeah, I posted a link to where you can get these goddamn cheating grids. So yeah, if you're someone who draws on paper like myself, go pick those up. Hey, Noah, just got into your work the past few months and look what you've been doing. You can do anything you want with a licensed property, franchise, adaptation. What would you do? What would I do? Do you mean like well, I don't know. I didn't think about that. If you're talking about, like, I don't know. I mean, I always think about taking over like a newspaper strip, like I would like to take over Gasoline Alley and get that comic back on track. So yeah, I would take over a newspaper strip because I like the idea of having that kind of schedule. That sounds great. But I don't know. I don't even think about that stuff. I just have too many of my own ideas. Aaron, any new ideas for the channel? I have a couple interviews coming up this week, actually. I have one with Brad McKay. We're going to talk about Doug Wright, the Canadian cartoonist. And I have Carl Stevens coming. We're going to talk about his new book, Penny. And I'd like to, I have like a list of people that I want to get on. I'd like to see if Katie Skelly would come on and talk. She's on my list. But, I feel like I kind of got behind on that stuff because I was up against the wall with the deadline for that book. So I wasn't even thinking about the channel as much as I should have. How do you make your talks happen? Dirty D? How do I? How do I make them happen? I just reach out to people. Anybody will do it. So I just ask. And for the most part, I've only been turned down a couple times. Charles Forsman turned me down, which was a great shock and controversy. Yeah, a few people, Daniel Klaus turned me down. And I haven't had the guts to ask Chris Ware, but there's only so much rejection I could take. I just wanted to get I was like, that'd be funny if I just got like all the big guys like out of the way, and then I'm just gonna get into like the small press and talk to all these cool people. Let's see. No, what was your experience like in Angoulême? Were you expected to draw hugely intricate book drawings? Yes, I was. Angoulême was like one of the best experiences of my life. I always hope that I get invited back there. It's like it's the best show ever, like in the world. It's so great. So yeah, and they want you to draw. Like you can't just like sign your name on a book. They want you to do some like beautiful drawing. So I had like my watercolor set and colored pencils there and stuff like that. And I tried to do like really interesting Fonte Bukowski drawings in each book, and they have to be different. You can't just do the same thing every time, or they make fun of you. So it's good. Will I record a conversation with Victor Cairo? Will I? I don't know. I don't think he's ever asked to be on the channel. And I haven't asked him. What would I? Yeah, I guess so. I don't really know him that well. I could ask him. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I'll reach out. What's the best comic I've read recently? Is it a new comic you're talking about? Like, what's a new comic that's really good? All right, let me see. Actually, there is a pretty great comic that Fantagraphics put out recently. Let's see if I can find it on their site. I'm looking. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't know. All right, wait. All right, let's see. What's a good one? I can't find it anymore. It was about joggers. What's it called? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? There's like a Fantagraphics book about like running. Yeah, anyway. Alison Bechdel? Hell yeah. I'd love to have Alison Bechdel on this channel. It'd be amazing. I wonder if she would. She might. Alice, I've met her once because she guest edited the Best American Comics in 2011, I think it was, or 2012. But she put one of my stories in there. And then I was at TCAF that year, and she came up to my table and talked to me. So she might. Yeah. 8 Lane Runaways. Yeah. That's a great comic. And I'd like to get him on. I'd just like to talk to him about that. I chatted with him for like a second. He was on like an online panel last spring, and I chatted with him during his chat. So that was cool. He's a good guy. David Mazzucchelli. I don't think any of these, Andrew, I don't think any of these people would come on this channel. Richmond Lewis would not. Jaime Hernandez would certainly not. Mark Newgarden and Kaz, I'm sure would. In fact, I think I asked Mark Newgarden, but I think we just didn't get together a schedule for it. But I would like to get him on. Yeah. Anyway, come on, guys. There's so many people I could get on here that would be great to talk to. What else? I think I'm about to go out and start my drawing day, guys. Oh, yeah. Rich, Julia Wirtz is on my list. I got to talk to her. I've known Julia for a long time. I love Julia Wirtz, and she has a new collection coming out from Uncivilized Books. So yeah, I know that she's kind of been doing the mom thing and not so much in comics right now, but I would love if she could make some kind of time for me to just like, Julie, just give me like an hour to talk to you. I would love to. So yeah, I'm gonna get her on. I'm sure of it. I have read Blue by Pat Grant. Yeah, that's the first Pat Grant comic I ever read. Dylan, Jaime went on the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel, but they're like a channel that has a lot of. That's a really popular channel. My channel is not very popular, so I don't know if he would come on. And I've met Jaime a couple times, but I don't think he ever remembers who I am. So I don't know. I mean, I could try. I could reach out to Eric Reynolds at Fantagraphics and see if he'll connect us and maybe convince Jaime to come on the channel, but no promises. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, guys, I got to go draw. So I just wanted to pop in here, ask a few questions, answer a few, and yeah, that's all I got. So thanks a lot for hanging out, and have a good rest of your day, everybody. See you later. Bye.